Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. I got a very, very interesting guest today, at least in my opinion. You guys know me. I'm not wealthy, although I hang out with wealthy people every once in a while when I go to like the conventions and stuff. But me, myself, modest means, right? But you guys know I believe very strongly in less taxes, keep more money, and more importantly, keeping what you worked for. This guy's devoted his life to that. It's pretty wild. I'll let him tell the story, but there was a couple of minor technical bugs, so we're slightly off on normal, but that's okay. Without further ado, his name is Joseph Lombardi, and he's the CEO of Ironhawk Financial. Which is a really cool name, I might add. But here he is. There he is.
Hey, what's up? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
Awesome. So, there we go. Okay, so I read your thing. I've been doing a bunch of digging on the stuff, which we'll introduce over time. But I'll let you have the floor basically to tell people what it is you do and why you do it.
Yeah, so I'm the owner and founder of Ironhawk Financial. I've been in business for a quarter century and won many awards, publications, published author, radio show host, podcaster. I got into this business watching my father fall 3 stories off a ladder. That I was supposed to be in construction. I was doing demo with him since I was 12. And when I was like 17, he lost everything, over $25 million over 5 years with the hospital bills, no health insurance, no disability, no life insurance, no long-term care. Shortly developed, Parkinson's after that and lived with Parkinson's for 22 years and just passed on 1/1 of this year. So, I watched my mother die, no life insurance, watched my grandmother have a stroke, led to dementia. Lost $4.2 million, my grandfather's estate, Lombardi Masonry. So I live like my family is very hardworking. We're from Sicily and we just grinded. Okay. And, and I was supposed to be in construction, but, God had a different plan for me. So I got into this business in 19, started chasing trucks on the highway, went after blue collar business owners that reminded me of my dad and just, started protecting them, getting them disability, life, long-term care. They used to call me the dog because I would just fly on the highway and chase trucks. And I call them like, hey, my dad was JV Lombardi Builders. He fell. Can I buy you a cup of coffee at the next exit at Dunkin' Donuts, buy you a breakfast sandwich and protect your family and save you millions in taxes? And a lot of people were receptive. A lot of people knew my dad. He was big in Fairfield County. So that started my business, back in 2004. And, from there, I've just been growing, grinding, learning. I worked in Wall Street. I've had my securities licenses for 17 years, 663, 65, got my property casualty life, did estate planning, did health and did everything. Worked at major companies, MetLife, Guardian, Penn Mutual, Mass Mutual, Northwestern Mutual. And then I realized that the general agency route, they just rob you, steal, lie. It's corporate, so it's
corporate America, man.
So I got the hell out, about 6 years ago and started my own business 7 years ago now. And, I just started building and grinding and, now I'm national and we have strategies that just save people millions of dollars by utilizing IRS codes and investments and derivatives and option contracts and all the things that the government, the educational system that tells you to invest in the government,
Yeah.
All the things you don't teach you, like balance a checkbook, go $250,000 in debt for a useless piece of paper for 4 years, so you'll never be able to buy a house.
Yep.
Jack up the interest rates, so the American dream is dead, and allow BlackRock come in and buy everything up in cash. So like that's pretty much what's going on right now. So I'm just trying to help people, save people, give you the education that you should have had if your government was ethical and moral, and if we actually lived in a Christian nation, not a usury nation. So when you understand and you're awake, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, those are all multipliers to your financial health and wealth.
Okay. Well, I know you've definitely got some bona fides, and I'm just gonna run it under here. You were in the top 40 under 40, which is part of the top 100 magazine series. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm not really in that. The International Business Times. I mean, yeah, you obviously know what you're talking about. Here's my question, right? So a lot of times they, at least, and I think it's designed this way, but the system is designed to make people, regular people that aren't super wealthy, believe that the only way you can do it is by going to a 9-to-5 or getting incredibly in debt via college for a useless degree, all of these things. But there are other options out there, right, for people who, because, like, for example, one of the things that I saw was the rich people IRA, right? Rich person's IRA. I looked through that, I read it, but the boundary for entry is like, I think what, 150,000 a year or 199 for family.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Where's yours?
what you're referring to is the rich person's Roth.
Yeah.
And that's also infinite banking. That's IRS code section 7702. I invest in that. My 3 children, I got them plans right when they were born. It allows you to legally build money tax-free. You kick out Wall Street, all 12B1 fees, class A share fund fee, money manager fee, Indian account fee, mutual fund expense fee, gone. You kick out the federal and state governments, federal, state, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, Social Security, gone. And it saves you millions and millions and millions of dollars, because those are 2 demonic leeches, right? Those are 2 leeches to your financial health. They're cancer. Right. And so what it does is it basically allows my clients to build their own bank, which is one of the 3 5-star rated books that I've written on Amazon. Being your own bank, there's a better way than a 401k and long-term care without long-term pain. And so building a solid financial foundation is what should be taught in school, but it's not. It's the GoFundMe era. It's like, my husband died with nothing. We have no money. We have to move to the hood next to Jorge and Tito and sling rocks and crack. And Can you bring up dollars? It's like, your provider and protector should have set that up. Yeah. It's like, okay, sure. But at the end of the day, it's only your responsibility to protect you.
Yeah.
And if you're a provider and a protector, it's only your responsibility to protect your family, your spouse, your children. And people are so selfish. People are so just caring about what they get. We are living in a world of where everybody has anxiety and depression, right? They're living in the past, they have depression. Living in the future, they have anxiety. Yeah. And God made it simple. He said, I'm going to give you a present. It's a gift. And in this present, what are you going to do to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially? How are you getting closer to me if I'm Jesus? How are you, taking your temple, your body, and getting to the gym and caring about your health and being a good example for people around you and looking in the mirror and not feeling, oh, I wish I could be better? What are you doing about your emotional health and being able to control your anger, control your sadness, control your fear? We live in a fear-induced society. And, what are you doing mentally? Where's your plan? What's your strategy? What are you doing for your habits? Right. And lastly is financially, which is the number one thing talked about in the Bible, which isn't follow God, heaven, treat thy neighbor as thyself. Yeah. Money is the number one thing talked about in the Bible. Number one, most talked about. So what are you doing? Oh, I have gold and silver. I have some equity in my house. It went up a lot recently. What did it do the last 10 years before the last year? Nothing. So, and you're competing against the global elites that are keeping the price down. It's so funny. I talk to people every day that own gold and silver because I'm in your market. I'm in the patriot, conservative, Christian market.
Yeah.
And I don't hate gold and silver. I own gold and silver. But when you look at it, most people are like 100% invested. I'm talking 70-year-old, 70. I talked to an 82-year-old last week who had $8 million of net worth, and 7.3 of it was in physical gold and silver. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
When the banking system goes down, I'm like, you mean like what happened 60 years ago? That was totally fine.
Right.
You mean the gold confiscation where they stole gold? Like you had to give your gold back? Like there's going to be no value at all in it? You mean the same asset that is being oppressed by the solar industry because it's in solar panels, the electric vehicle industry because it's in all the batteries, the tech industry, more importantly, the AI and robotic industry that gold and silver is used. So you really think long-term you're going to beat them? You had a short squeeze. You had an AMC. You had a GameStop short squeeze. Great. But you don't have the pockets that BlackRock has. You don't have the pockets that Vanguard has. Now, am I saying don't own any? Sure. If it makes you feel warm, I have this metal, right? Like I talked about, like, okay, so the world's ending and you're in your living room and you have a pile of metal.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so good. And then somebody comes in with a gun and kills you and then steals your metal. Like it to me, it makes no sense, but hey, some people it's, feels great, right? Yeah. So what should you do? You should diversify. Oh, well, I have stocks and bonds and EFTs and crypto and gold and silver. And really, that's not diversification. Those are all tied to the exact same market. They all move up together. They all move down together, right? So what you have to diversify is, do you have a non-marketable loss asset? And the answer is, doing this for 23 years, you don't. All your assets are tied to the market.
Right.
Are you invested appropriately for your age, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon? Nope. Were you taught that? Nope. Is all your assets taxable? House, gold, silver, crypto, stocks, bonds, 401k, IRA, rental properties, brokerage account, taxable, 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 taxable. No, you're not diversified. So what people need to understand is that if you want real safety, if you want to do what the millionaires and billionaires do, is you have to diversify your market exposure, your taxation, and your liquidity, right? I have clients that are worth $10 million. It's all hard assets. There's no liquidity. They have 20 grand in the bank.
Right.
I'm like, so 0.2% of your net worth is liquid. 99.8% isn't. So what my clients do is they say, okay, how do I do that? How do I build my own bank? It comes down to a simple IRS code. Okay. That code is IRS code 7702, called a 7702 plan. What that strategy does, it legally allows you to have a Roth IRA 401k type of account, because what are those? Those are IRS codes. IRS code 401k, IRS code 403b, IRS code 457, college saving IRS code 529. So those are codes. Well, those are the codes that the peasants use. The ones that your accountants say, I'm going to save you money, when your accountant is never going to save you money. Well, he told me to put $60,000 in my SEP and I saved $20,000. No, you deferred 60. That 60 is going to grow to 300 and you're going to pay 150 grand to save 20 grand a day. Yeah. It's the dumbest thing you can do. Okay. And our whole culture is set aside where it's like, how do I enrich my present self and screw my future self? Mm-hmm. We live in a debt society. So it's waking up to the fact that the government's not your friend. The credit cards aren't your friend. The loan companies aren't your friend. That's called usury. Aren't you a Christian?
Right. Yeah.
It's called usury. Look it up in the Bible. Mm-hmm. It's illegal in the Christian faith. Why do you think Israel had zero country for thousands of years? It was 1948 when they had Israel and they stole the land from Palestine. Right. When you understand why they never have a country, they were kicked out every single one. What did they do? They made a home here. They burrowed into America and they enslaved us through the Federal Reserve and banking system.
Yep.
They had the Titanic, which was the Olympic, to kill all the people that wanted to vote against the Federal Reserve. So when you look at history, and you really look at it, not the lies, because history is written by the people who won the war, right? Our world would be totally different if Hitler won. I'll just say that. So when you understand what's going on, you are only being told. I had this conversation today with a client. I'm like, when your best friend divorces his wife, what does he say? Oh, she was this, she was that, narcissistic. She took this. She was what? And then if you're a girl and your girl gets divorced, your girlfriend gets divorced, what does she say? He was abusive. He took my money. He beat me. He raped me. So they're writing history of an enemy. Well, when you're in war, whether you win or lose, they're your enemy. So you have to understand, you have to take a step back. There's his side, her side, and the truth. There's this countryside, that countryside, and the truth. Yep. And most people take what's in the history books, which is written by the winners, as fact. It's not fact. It's their perception of why they did heinous crimes, why they murdered millions of people on the other side and had their side had millions of people murdered to achieve a goal or an ideology that may or may not be what you believe is ethical and moral. But so it goes deep. Like when people think of money, they're like, oh, I just have to earn more. It's like, that's not how money works.
Right.
Look at people who win the lottery. They win $200, $300, $400 million. They're not broke. They're bankrupt, which means they lost the $300, $400 million and another 20, 30 million before the creditors realize, oh, they have no more money and they have to go BK. So it's not about the amount of money. Then what is money about? Money is about filling a hole in your heart. And if you don't have Jesus there, if you don't have self-love there, if you don't love who you are going to be doomed to spend money to try to fill a hole that money can't solve. And so it gets to the point where I have to buy a vehicle to impress my neighbor who doesn't like me, go in debt because I don't feel good enough for who I am. So I need to buy this thing to impress this person who doesn't like me. So money really is a reflection of who you are. And if you're broke, a lot of that has to do with you are broke. And that's a reflection of your bank account. And so it comes down to growing spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Those are not linear. Those are multipliers to your financial well-being and health.
Okay.
These are the things that people don't learn, right? If you don't love yourself, why the hell are you going to love your future self? Why are you going to plan for your future self? Why are you going to save for your future self? I don't even like me now. I'm probably not going to like me 20 years from now. Screw that guy. Right. So when you look at it, it's so deep on a deep spiritual level that if there's turmoil in your life, there's things in your life that you feel uneasy, unrest, fearful, anxiety, it's almost near impossible unless someone dies in your family and leaves you a boatload of money to be wealthy in the present. And that money usually won't stick around long enough to have a long lasting effect, which is ideally what the person that died and made you beneficiary wanted.
Right. Right. Okay. So how does the average person learn the proper method of like looking at the world? You said, obviously, fill that hole in your heart with Jesus, because I agree. That's the most important thing. And you mentioned lottery winners. Until you change your state of mind, it's not going to change anything regardless of the amount. I've known people who have gotten just a ridiculous amount of money and it didn't change anything. Within a short amount of time, they were back to the exact same way. Hey, man, can you loan me a few dollars for... What happened to your money, dude? So what's the best way to go about, I guess, once you reconcile with your creator and fill that part, what's the next step?
Well, the next step is get out of debt. Okay. Usury is the most demonic thing in the world. If I borrow $1 from you and you have to pay me $2 or $3 back, what you're doing is you're enslaving your future self to enrich your present self. So what you have to understand is that something that enriches you today, if you don't have the money for it, don't buy it, period. So it comes down to paying off high interest rate debt, because that is like stage 4 cancer. And you're not going to earn 29.99% on any investment regularly.
No.
Okay. So you need to take your investable dollars and attack the debt.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two is do not go back into debt. I had a client, husband and wife. I did a debt remodification strategy this is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They made 750 grand a year combined. Their credit score was 400. Their net worth was negative. And they had a Harley at 28.99%, a Harley bike that they bought for 22 grand. They were going to pay 70,000 for it over 5 years. It's just insanity, right? So, I was able to, when the debt modification through Obama, this is I'm aging myself, came out, and like I helped them through it. Again, I'm not a debt guy, I'm not a loan guy, but I try and help people however I can. Yeah. So I ended up freeing up something along the lines of $8,000 a month in interest for this couple. And what they ended up doing is saying, okay, I saved up all this money, I'm ready to invest. They gave me $100 a month. And I'm like, $100 a month. So I go through their checking, their checkbook, again, aging myself. There was no online banking at this time. And I'm going through, and it was like Outback Steakhouse, $100, Ruth Chris, the mall. There's some people that you are such a gluttonous and you have a deadly sin attached to you, demon, that you have to free yourself from that. It doesn't matter what anybody can do to help you, right? So number one is get out of debt. Number two is tide yourself. Even before the church, tide yourself. And this is what most people don't do, is you take 10% of every dollar that comes in, regardless of what you want or need in your life, and you put it away for your tomorrow self, for your future self. And every dollar, I don't care if you make $400 a week or you make 40,000 a week, 10% of that has to go away. And what that's going to do is that's going to build your habit of your subconscious mind and your emotional and mental health, seeing that you're valuable. And you don't do it with the government. Okay. You do not do it with 401ks, IRAs, SEP Simples, pension, deferred comp, 457. You don't do it even with brokerage accounts, Coinbase, Robinhood. Do I own those things? Absolutely. But is that the first thing or the only thing I own? Hell no. So what you have to do is you have to build a foundation. What is that foundation built on? It's built on protecting you from the 4 things that are guaranteed to happen to you, right? You have to buy auto insurance. No guarantee you're going to crash your car. You have to buy health insurance. Well, you don't have to, but most people do. I don't carry health insurance, and I make millions of dollars a year because I don't go to the doctor. It's not healthcare, it's sick care. Yeah. So when you understand like what's going on in this world, you have to have a solid financial foundation. And the 4 things is I'm either going to live really long. That's the one we want, assuming we are healthy and wealthy. Yeah. I'm going to die early and leave my family mentally, emotionally, and spiritually broke, and then financially broke too, which sucks. Been there with my mom. I'm going to get disabled like my father, and I'm not going to be able to provide a value in the marketplace. Therefore, I'm not going to be paid. How are you going to live? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to pay for shelter and food and transportation? So, and then the last one is, how am I going to take care of myself when I can't take care of myself? We go into this world in diapers. We go out of this world in diapers, bell curve. And that's if you're lucky enough to live that long. So what are you doing for that? Is your plan to give up everything you've worked for, go on Title 19, get thrown in a 10-by-10 jail cell, live next to a cellmate known as, another person there who's blasting the baseball game till 2 a.m. Your family and friends aren't going to want to see you because it's scary to go to these homes. It smells in those homes. It's really morbid. I know I brought my 3 kids to visit their grandfather and they hated it. So it's what are you doing to keep yourself out of a 10-by-10 jail cell where you can't control the food, you can't control the care. And if somebody's having a bad day working there, guess what? So are you. So these are things where, how do I stay home? How do I celebrate birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July with the people I love, my grandkids and possibly great grandkids? Yeah. How do I do that? How do I have a safe environment for them to come visit me when I can't walk. I can't take care of myself. I can't feed myself. I can't transport myself. I can't bathe myself. How am I going to have some quality of life? That comes through having a solid financial plan that consists of long-term care planning, tax planning, estate planning, legacy planning, death planning. These are the things that most people don't do. And if you have any assets left over, it goes to probate. It's contestable. You have cousins that you haven't talked to in 20 years fighting your own kids for money they don't deserve. So how do I prevent all that? It's not rocket science. It's simple, right? There's two products in a strategy that I've done for 23 years for over 4,000 clients, for over $4 billion of protection and rollovers in my career, with zero complaints on the Better Business Bureau and a 5-star rating on Google. That is a fixed index annuity that funds an index universal life known as a 7702 plan. What that does, it diversifies your taxes by building you a legal tax-free account. Both of my strategies are guaranteed not to lose. So I can say, I, Joe Lombardi, have never lost a client $1 in 23 years. Never charged a client $1 in 23 years. Absolutely free. Wow. How do you make money? I get paid what's called an FYC from the insurance company. I'm not going to double charge you like most advisors and financial planners do. It's bull crap. So what I do is I build solid financial foundations. We take your existing dirty taxable dollars and we open up a clean cup where we could take dirty dollars, pay the taxes on them, and a tax reduction strategy, not a tax elimination strategy. If you already made a deal with the devil, known as the federal government, you're screwed. So what we can do is we can alleviate it. So you drip the money in. It goes into your overfunded index universal life policy, which has long-term care of up to $30,000 a month, tax-free dollars when you can't take care of yourself. You can live on that. Disability of up to $1.5 million tax-free, because there's two big lies. One is the accountants say they save you money. When they don't, they defer it. They're lying to your face. The second lie that you have is that, you know, when I pull money out of these accounts, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. It's like, no, you're not. You have something called inflation, and like you're making the most amount of money you ever made in your life, and then your financial advisor and accountant is going to say, well, just keep deferring the money because when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. So what you're telling me is I'm going to be living in poverty when I retire, because in order to be in a lower tax bracket, I have to make a lot less money than I'm making now. Yeah. And that's my strategy. Why do you think there's a welcome to Walmart strategy where the greeters at the door, average age, are 78 years old? Because these are people that need that $12 an hour to buy food, and they can't and pay electricity because their Social Security stays level while inflation comes in and kicks their butt. Yeah. So it's having the right mindset to say, what am I doing? And most Americans, the answer is nothing. I'm not doing a darn thing. Mm-hmm. I'm investing with the same government I know is spying on me, treating me as a guinea pig, giving me jabs that are experimental, that the number one murdering entity in the world history is governments. But yet I'm going to trust them. The same government that has something called a Dodd-Frank Act in 2010, where they can come in and wipe my 401k, wipe my IRA, wipe my bank accounts and checking and savings and put $0 there, and I don't have a legal right to it.
Which is insane.
Which wealthy people decided, yeah, I don't want to play that game. Yeah. No, I'm good. So when you look at an industry where $50 billion goes into IULs and $500 billion goes into annuities every year, where are those dollars coming from when the average American isn't the one contributing to it? Right. When banks don't keep their own money in banks, they own BOLI. Go look it up. ChatGPT, Google, ask Siri. BOLI, bank-owned life insurance. So when you understand and you peel back the curtain, when you know Wall Street has colluded with federal and state governments
Mhm.
to extract and steal your money. What's 1.5% a year times 30 years? Well, that would be 45%. That would be if it was a simple fee on your contribution. It's not. It's a simple fee on the total amount of the account. So what's 1.5% compounding over 30 years? Well, it's well over 50%. So if on the way up, Wall Street is stealing 50% of my retirement assets in government, and then on the way out, they're stealing 50% in federal and state taxes, doesn't that mean I get less than a quarter of my money, and over 75% of my account is stolen from me over my working life? So again, the wealthy people said, I invested in that.
Yeah.
Business owners don't have IRAs and 401ks. Their employees do, because their employees think this fake number on a screen is their money. It's not. Cash it out. I had a client that was like, oh, Joe, I got $1 million in that 401k. I'm a millionaire. I said, you're about a 620,000-aire. Cash it out. That's all you're going to get. Uncle Sam is your business partner. Uncle Sam, if you lose all your money, does he help you recoup your money? No, he doesn't care. If you do well and you grow millions of dollars, Uncle Sam's like, great, I just made millions of dollars. So you have to legally kick out the federal and state governments out of your retirement. You also legally have to kick Wall Street out. And you have to bring in IRS codes, and you have to use, here's a word people don't like, insurance companies. Oh, I hate insurance companies. Car insurance, homeowners, liability, workman's comp, umbrella. That's the devil. Well, actually, the safest place to put your money, name me another asset that legally survived the Civil War, World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, never needed outsourced money, never lost a dollar for their clients, legally, unlike a bank who can micro lend out, have to keep the dollar that's in their general account from their clients legally, that pay dividends every year, guaranteed, or they wouldn't be an insurance company. And then we take those dividends and we buy option contracts with them. And my clients are averaging over 14% over the last 10 years compounding. Do you know what that leads to? A 4x of your money in the last 10 years. If you put $1 in 10 years, it was worth over $4 today with no risk of loss.
Interesting.
And also, it's sue-proof. It works as a trust. It's incontestable in court.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, it legally avoids probate. So this is a 401k or IRA or brokerage that's like 10,000 steps above what you know exists. And it's not like nobody's doing it, right? Last year, close to 1 million people are waking up to permanent life insurance, annuities, protecting. They realize I'm 70, 75, 80. I shouldn't be investing like I'm 20 years old anymore. I shouldn't be carrying this risk because I have RMDs, require minimum distributions at 72 and a half. So I'm going to have to take this money out. Well, what if I don't need it? You're going to leave it in the bank for the Dodd-Frank Act to wipe? No, you're going to put it in your bank.
Yeah.
And then you're going to lean the money out, right? So when you think of somebody like Elon Musk, right? He's got this new SpaceX IPO coming out. Everyone's excited. It's going to the moon. When you look at somebody like him, right? Let's say he needed $100 million for a SpaceX rocket, okay? He has two choices. Do what the average American does or do what the ultra-rich does. Ready for this? Option one, he sells $200 million of Tesla stock, pays $100 million in taxes, loses the future growth of that said $200 million of stock he sold. He no longer owns it. Nets the $100 million, buys the rocket. That's what every American's doing with the government plan. What my clients do, what he does, he'll take $100 million of stock, bring it to a bank, get a collateralized assignment on it. That's known as a loan or a lien. Are loans legally tax-free? Yes, they are. $0 in taxes. Does he still own the $100 million because it's just leveraged like a home equity line? You still own the house, right? So if the house goes up, still get depreciation. So he still owns the Tesla stock. Has the Tesla stock outperformed a bank loan for the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years?
Oh, yeah.
He makes more money on the asset than what he's paying the bank. You know what that's called? Negative interest rate of return. No one heard of that. What do you mean? You mean I get paid for my loan? So now he lost nothing, still owns it, paid nothing in taxes, not $100 million, made more than the loan rate. So now he actually has a net profit, and he's got the $100 million to buy the SpaceX rocket. And he didn't need a high credit score because he leaned his own assets. How do wealthy people pay no taxes? They leverage and lean money they've saved in the past for their future self to kick out the federal and state governments in taxation and double their quality of life later.
Okay.
So when you think of this was on the world stage, by the way. When Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were on stage in 2016 and Hillary said, show your tax returns, you're a bad orange man, you pay no taxes. What did Trump say? I don't pay taxes, Hillary, you're right. I use the same IRS codes that your donors use, and you had 30 years to close the loophole, but you won't because you're making too much money from your donors.
Yep.
If I was watching that 10 years ago, I would have been like, wait, what did Donnie just say? Wait, I pay more taxes than Donald Trump, who's worth $4 billion, and I'm worth 40 grand? And he pays less taxes than me. Wouldn't I want to find that out?
Yeah.
But those people just went over their head. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just do what my neighbor's doing, who's never going to retire. I'm going to listen to my plumber. I'm going to do, my coworker says that, she maxes her 401k, and I guess I'll do that. Really? I'm going to listen to Dave Ramsey. Buy term, invest the difference. The market gets 12% every single year. 2022, 2008, 2001, the market earned $0 in the S&P 500 from 1999 to 2012. For 13 years, the market earned zero. But you're listening to Dave Ramsey, it tells you it's 12% a year. So these are all things, right? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Please fact check me everything I'm telling you. I wouldn't be allowed to do 4 podcasts a week. I wouldn't be allowed to go on Dr. Tenpenny and Dave Hodges and Steve Sachs and Sarah Westall and have sponsorship programs with these people. So when you understand that this isn't BS, what are you going to do about it?
Right. I am very, very intrigued. I thought, learning and looking into this and trying to figure out, okay, so I kind of see what he's saying, but at the same time, it's such a different language from what we're taught. Like you said at the beginning, it is a completely different mindset from the get-go. So it just goes to show, though, like when I started looking into the life insurance that you talked about, the article itself from Forbes is like, well, if you don't make $150K a year, then this isn't for you. And I'm like, well, okay, I don't pull that. So, and
what they were referring to in that is they're referring to you can legally contribute to a Roth IRA.
Okay.
If you make under 150,000 a year that year. It's probably right now at around 180. So, because it goes up every year. So what most people think, I don't make that, I don't have to worry about that. Well, when you compare the 7702 plan to a Roth IRA, right? The 7702 plan is superior. Well, why? They're both tax-free. The difference is there's no 59.5-year rule. There's no 10% penalty on a 7702 plan. There is on a Roth. A Roth has FILO, first in, last out. So if I need money in my tax-free account, they're going to charge me penalties and taxes on it if I have to access it before 59.5. So one, I handcuff my money for years or decades, depending on your age. One, I can lose. One, I pay 12B1 fee, Class A share fund fee, money manager fee, and account fee. And what do I get for that? besides the gratification, knowing you're paying for some schmuck's Lamborghini in Wall Street, what do you get for that? Not a darn thing. So the other strategy is there's fees, but you get life insurance, long-term care, critical illness, terminal illness. You get can't lose. You get the ability to legally buy option contracts. You get the ability to lien the money. Because with a Roth, when you cash out your position, it's gone. You sold Apple. See ya. You're not earning another penny for the next ever. So when you have something called non-direct recognition, non-direct recognition is built into the strategy if it's done at the right carrier, right structure, right sub-account, right participation rate, right riders, and built the right chassis with the right contribution limits. So this is not something that's cookie cutter. This is something that is customizable per client. I have built over probably 5,000 plans, and I have over 4,000 clients. So when you look at this works. It eliminates the risk that every American have. What if taxes go up? Go to usdebtclock.org. We owe $40 trillion in taxes. Go type in 100-year federal tax bracket picture and see that in the 1980s, highest marginal, 70%. 70. How about 1960? 92% highest marginal. World War I, taxes went from 7.75% to 77% in 4 years. World War II, taxes, after they dropped back down to 25%, they jumped from 25% to 85% in 4 years. Why do you think the neocons, right before Biden left, I don't know if you remember, they started shooting missiles at Russia?
Yep.
So they're dying for World War III to bring taxes from 39.6 back to 90%. And they've trained the American people not to buy tax-free assets. Crypto, gold and silver, real estate, IRAs, 401ks, stocks and bonds, brokerage accounts. So most Americans, when I say most, over 99% of Americans have over 90% of their net worth in taxable assets. So the government's sitting there like, Johnny wrote off that 401k contribution of 15 grand, 20 years ago. Yeah. We gave him $4,000. Imagine that 50 grand grew to like 200. What if we raise taxes to 90 and we charge him on that 1 year contribution that he saved $5,000? Why don't we charge him 190 for 5? Because right now he's going to pay about 80 for 5. So let's increase it. So when you look at it, how do I know all this? Am I fear mongering? Is there any proof to what I'm saying? Well, what I do is I look at history, because one thing about history that you cannot deny, regardless of who the winner or loser was of the war, who told the story, the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So when you go back in history and you look at the numbers, you say, wow, taxes have shot up back then. Wow, highest marginal. And when highest marginal was 90%, we didn't owe 40 trillion. We didn't have a price to earnings ratio almost double of what it was in 2008, which caused the 08 crisis. So we have this thing called a bubble, and it happened through COVID, where too much money was printed and the supply and demand of currency switched. There was more supply than demand. Why do you think Obama was dropping off billions of dollars in $100 bills overseas?
Yep.
Don't we have starving children here in the United States? Yeah, screw them. Let them die.
Right. Who cares?
Who's the number one country in child sex trafficking? We are. So when you understand and you look past the veil, how are you investing with the same government you don't trust, the same government that's spying on you? Snowden already told you, NSA spying on you, your cell phone spying on you. Why are you investing in something demonic? Why would you go invest in a monopoly? I've watched congressional hearings. They went to Facebook. They're like, oh, you're a monopoly. That's bad. I'm yelling at the TV like, you're the biggest demonic monopoly in the freaking world.
Agreed.
U.S. government.
Yep.
So you're investing in a monopoly. You're investing in someone who's stealing your money, where you know you have a parasite, a demonic parasite in Wall Street. You have a demonic parasite with the government. You can lose if the market goes down. It can be sued. It can be leaned, leveraged, frozen, and stolen through the Dodd-Frank Act. Why wouldn't you go to the private sector? Why are you still in the government? You don't have to work with me. You don't have to work with Ironhawk. I didn't care less. Get the hell out of where you're at. If you claim to be a patriot, you claim to be a Christian, you claim to be a conservative, why are you investing? Why do you have the 2-8 hat on? Because we don't trust our government, not because I want to go hunting. So,
right.
Yeah, we have bank accounts, we have 401ks, we have IRAs. Are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
You're the biggest. It's like a walking hypocrite. And again, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Your education has failed you because the government owns the education, and the education says invest in the government. Think about it.
Yeah. That's true. So so they have this I just had somebody I didn't have him on the show, but I attended a conference or a group call or something. And it's supposed to be a different kind of insurance. It's not what you're talking about. They have, I guess it's like a group. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's essentially, it's not insurance, but it replaces insurance. And there is like life insurance and health insurance and stuff. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's essentially a group, and it's supposed to be a conservative Christian type of deal. Have you heard of this? Do you know anything about this? Okay. All right. I was just trying to figure out if this rung any bells and if this was connected.
I was on Dr. Tenpenny. She's talking about the 508 plan, IRS code 508, and my strategy is insanely better. That's why she met with me and I sponsor her show. So it's one of those things where when you look at it, the least path to resistance is the easiest. This strategy's been around 187 years.
Interesting.
So when I said it survived Civil War, World War I, Great Depression, it did. Never lost a dollar. Can't be lean, can't be levered, can't be sued. Because there's this word. Remember this word from COVID? It's called HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's legally allowed to know, government, creditors, anything, that you own it. Don't you think wealthy people like that? That nobody knows if they got $30 million in cash value? Nobody knows. They can bankrupt 10 companies. They can literally open up a company, take a loan out, which I'm not advising this, but has it been done? Hell yeah. Take a loan out after you build your company credit high enough, throw it in your IUL, and then say, I ain't got no money, and they can't do nothing. And you just steal it, right? Like, you could do that, right? I don't advise you to. So these are things where it's safe. This strategy works. And to have all your money in undiversified through taxation and market exposure, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? It's like having a gun with no bullets. It's like, are you safe? No, not if you got no bullets.
Right.
You're gonna have 50 guns. If you got no ammo, what are you gonna do? Hit them with it? They're gonna.
Yeah.
So
in which case there are better blunt weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, is this something that you want? Well, most people know they don't. Nobody wants to face their mortality. Right. Nobody wants to face their morbidity. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and say, how old am I now? I remember when I was 21 a year ago and I'm freaking 60. So they don't want to face their mortality. They don't want to face their morbidity. So what do? They ignore. They put it at the end of their priority list. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, I'll get to it when I'm later. What? When you're uninsurable, when you're unhealthy, when you have diagnosis, when you have cancer? You can't do my strategy if you're super unhealthy.
Yeah.
You still the annuity. Sure, I can protect you from losses, work as a trust, guarantee an income, pay less fees, give you bonuses. I still work with people that have that, because are we healthy as a country? Not when our government's feeding us poison, not when they're putting chemtrails in the air and lead in the water and chlorine turning the frogs gay, and when they're giving us food that's processed and man-made and built in a lab.
Yeah.
We're not eating from the earth. That's where God is. We're not even outside. We don't stare at the stars. We don't get enough vitamin D. We are caged not only in our environment, but in our mind.
Yeah.
You can't, right? It comes down to a little engine that could. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right.
Yeah.
And most people think they can't. And most people live in fear, right? When I have Jesus on me, I don't live in fear. Right? Like, I don't like flying, right? But I fly everywhere. And if the plane goes down, I get to meet Jesus. Okay.
Right.
It sucks. I'm going to miss my 3 kids. I'm going to miss my wife and my beautiful house and my career. But at the end of the day, this is worldly objects. This is just to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Earth is like a pit stop determining whether you're a good person, right? You graduate, you're a bad, you're okay person, but not good enough. You're purgatory. You stay in the 3rd grade. And if you're a bad person, you get demoted to the 2nd grade. So it's pretty simple, right? Heaven's up, hell's down. So it's like, you got to do the right thing. And if you want to suffer, suffer. Some people like that. But my goal,
yeah.
Well, that's why they call them Karens, right? But when you look at it, it's like, my goal is to suffer the least. And how do you suffer the least? Is take calculated risk and don't overexpose yourself by having 100% of your money in the market in gold and silver.
Yeah. And I'll say this, it is absolutely refreshing to hear, regardless of whether people take your advice and listen or not, it is completely refreshing to hear someone with something besides, gold and silver. Like, that's constantly what you hear, especially from, all kind of groups, but the Patriot movement especially. Everybody seems to be sponsored by some sort of gold or silver purchasing agent.
Well, you know why? The markup is so damn high.
Is that what it is?
I had a client, right? I cashed out a little under $100 million a year of gold and silver, either hard or IRAs, into my strategy from the market that we're in. And I had a client. It's a true story. Any of your listeners want to reach out, work with me, I'll have you talk to him. He can show you the proof. He invested $50,000 with one of these gold companies he heard on, conservative talk show. And he held it for 2 years. He lost money. Gold and silver was up, I think, 130%. His account was down 2.5%. So the fees to get in, the fees to get out, and what they claim is, we bought you a coin.
Yeah.
The size and the weight of the coin, regardless if there's an eagle there or, SpongeBob on the coin, it's worth the same amount of money if there was not a stamp on it. So they play these games, they manipulate, they rob, they steal. There's so much kickbacks. I know podcasters who confidentially told me they make over $100,000 a year, peddling gold and silver to their listeners. Man. And it's like, you had a good run. Good for you. It broke through the put system and the shorting system that the powers that be had. But you're not going to see it go up like that again.
No.
You think Vanguard and BlackRock didn't learn their lesson? I mean, what happened when gold spiked? It dropped 40%. Silver dropped 50% right after it spiked. Yep. So you really think that they're going to allow that again? Right. I mean, you can bet on it, but if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting against BlackRock and Vanguard. I'm not betting against the tech industry, the robotic industry, the AI industry, the solar industry, the electric vehicle industry, where there's government just strokes checks for trillions and billions of dollars to those industries.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. So how do I go about learning more or signing up, or do I just go to your website?
Yeah, so you can send an email to info@ironhawkfinancial.com. You can go to my website, ironhawkfinancial.com. I'm sending all listeners, whether you decide to work with us or not, all 3 of my books for free. Magazines, the 2 Forbes articles that you were referring to on Rich Person's Roth, one written by a CPA, one written by a CFA. I'll also send you my webinars, the 3 podcasts where I went in grave detail on Dave Hodges, send those to you for free. Everything. There's no cost. Just send an email to info@ironhawkfinancial.com. Put your name, put your phone number. If you go to ironhawkfinancial.com, there's a contact form where you can put your name, your email, and a little bit about yourself and what you're looking for. there's really, no limit, as long as you're not highly in debt, because I actually have ethics and morals. I'm not going to take your money until you pay off your debt, because I can't guarantee you 29.99 you're paying Amex or Capital One. So until you're like out of debt, like there's nothing I'm going to do to help you, right? You need a term life policy, sure, but I'm not going to do it. Somebody on my team is. But so if you really want to like look into how this strategy can really honestly save you millions of dollars over your life in market loss savings, you're not going to lose anything, in interest savings, because you're your own bank. You don't have to pay Ford of America 11.99 for a car. You don't have to go to Bank of America and take out a refi on your house for 7.9%. You are the bank. So, and then you're earning interest on your money minus the loan rate, which historically is a positive, which means you're going to have a negative rate of return or a negative loan rate. Yeah. So when you look at it, plus it's sue proof, divorce proof, can't lose, averaging double digits, can lean the money out with the non-direct recognition. It's a game changer. And I believe everybody should have one, right? That's a really bold statement, right? Because it's not a cookie cutter thing, but we're all going to die. And if you're lucky enough, you're going to need long-term care. Like you have a 99% chance of two of these things happening to you, two of these four things. Live long, die early, get disabled, need care. 99% chance that two will happen. 100% chance you're going to die. Yeah. So if you actually separate the second biggest lie, which is death insurance is life insurance, so that is a lie that's perpetrated by the culture of the government. Mm-hmm. And it's done in TV, it's done in board games like the Game of Life, where you have fire insurance, car insurance, life insurance. It's not growing value in the game. It just covers if you die. That should call death insurance. Yeah. That's the second biggest lie based on the first one, where you actually save money with qualified money. You don't save anything, you defer it. So when you look at it and you're really interested in this stuff and you really give a crap about your future financial self, because let's be real, who else is? If you aren't going to do the hard planning, like just know you're going to be dying in a 10 by 10 box with strangers taking care of you, lonely. And again, not for your mom. It happened to my grandmother, happened to my dad. Luckily, my mom just dropped out of cirrhosis of liver, so she didn't have long-term care. She died at 52. Yeah, good for her, right? So when you look at it, if you're lucky enough to live, you're going to experience that problem. Yeah. Cover it now and make money on it, right? I'm not selling life insurance as a liability, disability as a liability, long-term care as a liability. These are assets. These are earning you money while you're protecting yourself and the people you love.
Okay. All right. So step one, get out of debt. After you get out of debt, contact you first while you're getting out of debt.
Yeah, I mean, we have agreements with Debt Shredder. If you own a house and have debt, we have agreements with Cash Map. That can teach you how to use a revolving line of debt to get out of debt a lot faster, drop your interest rate from 29.99 to 0.3, because you move all your bills at the end of the month. So there's tons of strategies, but if you just want the information, just send an email, info@ironhawkfinancial.com. Say hi. Don't put any information down. If you actually want to meet with us, which is absolutely free, have a custom plan built for you, as long as you're in a place to afford it. You don't waste our time. Right. We have no problem doing that. At the end of the day, God doesn't care how much money I die with. He cares about how many people I affected positively. And I believe freeing enslaved American citizens from their own government and from Wall Street, I believe that this rift, if you decide to take this step with us, this rift is going to be felt by generations to come. So my goal is when I'm dead, people are still benefiting from the work I did while I was alive.
Man, I'd say I'm super, super excited about this. We're at time, but I could genuinely talk about this for hours. I at least am going to reach out. I urge my viewers, guys, like you all know that the system's rigged. It just is. And it's refreshing to hear someone that isn't spouting the same gold, silver, or some other, like I've heard a couple of other out there ideas for how to invest. And I'm like, wait a minute. But this these are bona fides, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and to school us a little bit, because there is a lot to learn.
Well, I appreciate allowing me to use your platform, Dion, to at least bring education. If I can help one person, free one person from the slavery that you're in, then that would have been worth my time.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, bro.
All right, guys. Joseph Lombardi, he's with Ironhawk Financial. And before, I'm like, okay, I looked into it a little bit. I'm like, I don't know if this is really gonna, appeal to I don't know if I'm the target audience. You know what I mean? When I'm looking at it and I'm learning, and the more he talked, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm legit the target audience. So most of us have a little bit of debt here and there, but unless you're like completely upside down on everything, I think there's genuine value. And if you are, then you should absolutely work your butt off to get out from under that anyway. I know that it's sometimes a little easier said than done, but that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I got a lot of stuff coming up for you. Stay tuned. Without further ado, God bless you, God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. See you guys.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.